Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Raceway Park, where tonight, of course, we are not only going to figure out the top 6 drivers that will be moving on into tonight's show, but what the starting lineup is going to look like here for the inaugural M&M's 400 here at the Minnesota Motorsports Park. As always, I'm Elijah Leonard here with you to bring you the action here as we get ready for knockout qualifying here at Minnesota for our 16th outing here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. We were originally going to be heading out to the Bristol Motor Speedway, but obviously given the I don't even know what I was going to say, but the state kind of like the racing product, if you will. I mean, especially with what happened last year in the WRLA McDonald's Cup Series, and how much of a dumpster fire that race was, sort of similar to North Wilkesboro earlier this year. We decided to take a bit of a different route, and we're here at Minnesota, adding a couple of fictional tracks to the schedule. And this one, I am willing to put my money where my mouth is when I say you're not going to want to miss this one, because this race right here, I'm willing to bet will be a barn burner. We're going to see a lot of great racing, a lot of great passes. We might see a caution or two, because it is a known fact that we have gone, I believe, the last 3-ish races without a caution. Obviously, Sonoma, we don't have yellows over there. Nashville, I think, was caution free. Indianapolis, I do believe, was caution free, if I remember correctly. But here we are at the Minnesota Raceway Park, and it could very well change. But we're about to find out tonight here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time over on Twitch. And as you can see, top of the board right now is Chase McClure with a 22.891. Atikian second with a 970. He was the first driver to hit the racetrack. Ajax Fitzgerald once again showing a lot of speed in the number 92 as he moves up to third early in the going. Josiah Munsell up to fourth. Nicky Fox completing the top 5 and holding on to the final transfer spot to kick things off. That is Jordan Sumner. Atikian now to the top of the board with an 8.29. That puts him up on the top of the scoring pylon, and now Munsell is on the outside looking in. Now it's Ryan Gundillo as he lays down not anymore, Joshua Cornish. Now Munsell again with a 22.944. Now just got bumped out by Jordan Sumner with a 9.39. All these drivers, with the exception of Gundillo on down, are within that 22-second bracket. Munsell to third. Nicky Fox gets put on the bubble spot. Remember, it is the top 6 from this session that move on to make the 42-car field for tonight's race here in Minnesota. Fox moves up to third as McClure goes to the top of the charts. 22.782 for the Halls machine. Cologne Motorsports will be returning next year in WRLA. However, the landscape of the team is going to be a little bit different because the full-time 36 spots have been a lock. So unfortunately, Cologne Motorsports is going to have to downsize a little bit, but this was one of the teams I really wanted to see come back into the WRLA fold, and they are returning, obviously with a little bit of a different look, but still, I don't believe is going to hurt the stride of the team. Sumner to the top of the board with a 6.97. Almost a full 10th faster than Chase McClure's 7.34. How about Martin Nixon, our Daytona 500 champion, right up there in that outside line. That's Spax machine with a 22.8 exact. Fitzgerald now to 4th as Atikin gets kicked back to 5th. Joshua Cornish now on the outside looking in. Well, actually, no, on the bubble spot. It is Munsell, actually, who is on the outside looking in with an 8:19. And now it is Ray Atikin on the outside looking in, as I believe Nicky Fox has just cracked back inside of the top 6. McClure, 2/1000ths of a second faster as he lays down a 6:95 in the number 52. Here's Michael DeFeo in the number 60 for his own team of Buffalo Motorsports. He's been a part of the WRLA since 2017 for those that was on the full-time roster. Unfortunately, wasn't really making the best of decisions, and that full-time spot ended up getting taken away from him. Originally was driving the 01 Hot Wheels car. For those that may remember that thing was actually kind of sick looking back in the day. But DeFeo, it kind of, if you will, it was on the road to recovery and came back in 2020, and he's been here ever since as a part-time driver and is looking to return in 2026 with the same role. Currently, so in this qualifying session, not faring too well. Currently sitting at a 22,896 is Bobby McGuire. Cracks the top 10 with an 8:59. McGuire Motorsports, another team that is, as far as this qualifying session goes, not doing so hot. We were just looking at Janiah Hill as well, who is 13th quickest with a 23,076. So far, she and Crampton are the only two that have yet to break into that 22-second bracket. So far, that is, but we only have about 7 minutes to go, so anything can happen as we are halfway here in this knockout qualifying session. Your top 6 currently goes as follows. It is Chase McClure still on top with a 22,695, then a 697 for Jordan Sumner in second, a 724 for Ray Atikian, a 756 for Martin Nixon, a 765 for Joshua Cornish, and Ajax Fitzgerald on the outside looking in with an 801. There's Hill. Made a few starts so far this year, but definitely trying to look for a way to turn this session around and try to see if she can get a McGuire Motorsports car into the show if Bobby's not able to do it. But as we showed you just a little bit ago, she's 13th quickest, but we've seen in the past drivers usually, I mean, sometimes towards the end of the session, sometimes those drivers kind of muster up a little bit more of that speed that they've been looking for at the very last possible second and lay down a lap fast enough to get them inside of the top 5 or top of the board to put themselves in the show. We've seen it happen before. It could very well happen again here tonight. But I haven't really seen a lot of changes inside of the top 6, so that is definitely going to be pretty interesting to see how the rest of the session unfolds here as we're closing in on 5 minutes to go. Now, coming into this race, another thing that we want to talk about that we will touch more on is the point situation, because after tonight, there'll be 5 races left on the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series calendar for the points paying races, and then obviously we have Charlotte and Pocono that we've got to make up for after we're done giving out points. So those 2 races will just be makeup races and nothing will be on the line. Oh, big crash in turn 4. That's Fitzgerald and Gundillo. No problem there. They'll be able to teleport back to pit road with brand new cars. Look at that, Ryan Gundillo with a brand spanking new Hurrah's machine. Hurrah to that, if you will. And Ajax Fitzgerald will be back on track here very shortly. But going back to it, the point situation that we've got coming into this race is actually pretty interesting, but also it keeps you on the edge of your seat, if you will, because these points, I tell you what, are very, very close. And we're going to touch a little bit more on that later on tonight when we get to the race. But coming in, Russell Blaze is still within arm's reach of the points lead. I would have thought that Terry Walker would have lost it coming into this race here at Darlington, but the points that Terry was able to grab at Darlington and the place where he finished, I believe he wound up finishing 8th at Darlington. It was just enough for him to keep the points lead. But again, the bad news that I have to refer to Terry, that I have to tell Terry Walker, is that Russell Blaze, again, is still within arm's reach. He's right there. He's just 1 point closer to nabbing the points lead and is trying to run away with it after tonight. I mean, it very well could happen. It very, very well could happen, given the fact that obviously the racing that we're about to see, I mean, it's going to be a barn burner for sure, but it's just going to be a mystery on how it's all going to unfold from a points perspective. So 200 laps, it's a long way to go, but anything can happen within those 200 laps. I mean, maybe on a pit stop we could see a caution. We could see a few cautions here for tonight, but only time will tell once that green flag drops tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. 3 minutes remaining. Janiah Hill has actually improved her time with a 22.840. She's up to 9th, and McGuire is down to 11th with a 22.859. If you're, just in case, if you're checking on the McGuire Motorsports cars, there's Kyler Sustry, 13th on the list with a 22.921. Travis Crampton is the only driver left that is yet to break in to that 22-second bracket. Just drafting all over the back bumper of this number 7. They head through turn number 4, but look at this pack. Almost 3 wide coming through the quad oval, and that indeed is going to be the case. Hill is the meat in this sandwich right here. And it looks like, yeah, I think it does look like that Crampton is going to back off for the moment and get right back on the attack. Look at that run that Travis Crampton just got going through turns 3 and 4. And he, wow, up to 8th with a 22.815. But not enough to get him into the show. He is definitely going to have to start picking it up for, I mean, that is, if he wants to, if he, I don't, my brain's lagging. My brain is lagging, so I do apologize. He's going to have to obviously pick up the pace if he wants to get into the show, but it's definitely going to be a tough road with at least 1 minute to go here in this qualifying session. So far, again, no changes inside of that top 6. But again, anybody could just muster up a lap fast enough to break in and knock somebody out. Ajax Fitzgerald, again, currently on that bubble spot, so we could see him get bumped out if any of these drivers put down a lap fast enough to get him into the show. 30 seconds left. Crampton was able to muster up enough speed to get himself into the 8th spot. Who knows what they did to this number 61, our winner from Talladega. Want to remind you guys of that. So far, if memory does serve me right, this season we've only had 2 part-time drivers go on to victory lane. Obviously, Martin Nixon in the Daytona 500 and Travis Crampton at Talladega. So far, if memory does serve me right, this year we've only had 2 of those part-time drivers go to victory lane. Everybody else has been contending for the championship. An additional 28 seconds have been added, so these drivers are going to have enough time to put down one more good lap. And this is the lap that has to count. Ten seconds to go. And it doesn't look like anybody is going to be able to break in at the very last second. So, your top 6, actually no, those times were already official. Okay, never mind. But your top 6 officially that will move on into tonight's show to make up the 42 car field is Chase McClure, Jordan Sumner, Ray Atikian, Martin Nixon, Joshua Cornish, and Ajax Fitzgerald will all race in the inaugural event here at the Minnesota Motorsports Park. And as for Nikki Fox, Travis Crampton, Josiah Munsell, Janiah Hill, Gundillo, McGuire, DeFeo, and as well as Kyler Sustry, they will all have to sit out and wait until next week when we go to Atlanta. You heard that correctly. Next week we will be at the Atlanta Motor Speedway and not the old Atlanta. Oh boy, you're in for a treat on that one. So, but anyways, that's next week. We got to focus on this week. When we come back, it'll be qualifying for the M&M's 400 here in Minnesota.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This time it is for WRLA Pepsi Cup Series qualifying from here at the Minnesota Motorsports Park. This is to set the starting lineup for our 42-car field for tonight's M&M's 400. And seeing that, of course, I do believe, yeah, this is just slightly a little bit over a 1 mile racetrack. Just slightly over, but I do believe we are going to have ourselves 2 rounds for qualifying. It will be the fastest 12 that will move on to the final round. The fastest 12, obviously, that will move on to round 2, and they will go for the pole to settle who will be obviously starting first here for tonight's race. We got Abby Walker here in this number 18. Didn't have herself the best of starts to the season, but obviously turned it all around with a win in Iowa, and she's been performing pretty consistent ever since. Been hanging around. I do want to say, I think she's currently top 10 in the point standings as of right now. Hold up, let me actually go back and look through this, and that is actually not the case. She currently is 13th on the points with 272 points in the bank. You're obviously going to see the full points when we go live on Twitch later on tonight. But so far for Abby Walker, she's been performing pretty solid this year and actually been doing a very impressive job. There's Reagan Whitlock in the number 9 machine. A 22.748 for her. She a veteran to the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Now betters that with a 667. So Whitlock doing a very nice job here in this qualifying session. Wyatt Walker currently second quickest with now a 772. How about that there for Wyatt Walker? Walker's another driver that, unfortunately, alongside CG Hall, who currently is second right now, Wyatt, unfortunately, I mean, he got off to a great start this season, and I'm not sure what wound up happening as the season went on. He just started falling lower and lower and lower and lower in the point standings, and this season has kind of panned out to be not the best season for him, because coming into this race, he currently is 29th in the standings with 210 points in his bank account. So Wyatt definitely looking to try to turn his season around, just to try to finish it out strong. CG Holt, same case for him, as he currently is second quickest with a 22.606 right now. That's enough to move him on into the final round. Emily Anderson, top of the board with a 22.433 for the Haas Automation colors. Emily Anderson, the all-time winningest driver in WRLA history, obviously, and made that history at Indianapolis towards the end of August. It was towards the end of August. But here we are, here in Minnesota, trying to go back-to-back and try to get her 3rd win on the season. A few drivers trying to get their 3rd win on the season. And here's one of them, Nia Steidel, here in the number 6. Made a lot of history within the course of 2 weeks, 2 races. She not only became the first female driver to win back-to-back WRLA races, but she became the first ever driver to do so. Win back-to-back Pepsi Cup Series races, and Steidel trying to add a 3rd win into that column. Right now, she currently is 8th quickest with a 22.592. And I'd have to say for Steidl, I mean, she had herself a fantastic season. I mean, regardless of where she's at in the point standings, in my book, she definitely is, has had herself a pretty solid season, if you will. But I'm definitely willing to bet you that she's definitely looking to improve her position in points right now, because right now she currently is 19th on the charts with 248 points to her name. Obviously, of all the winners that we currently have this season that are in the points chase for the championship, she is the driver that is performing the worst when it comes to that category. But it doesn't matter too much in this case, because obviously Nia's had herself a pretty good season so far, and looking to try to finish it out strong. And I mean, there's a very good possibility that she could get win number 3 here tonight. So we're just going to have to watch out for that one. Abby Walker top of the board with a 22.351 for the M&M's machine. And they are 3 wide over here as Jerry Rose jumps to second with a 4.08. That kicks Reagan Whitlock back to third. Obviously, Emily Anderson, you see her there in 4th. And holding on to that final transfer spot to get into the final round of qualifying, that would be the 20 of Jordan Sumner with a 22.720. Martin Nixon on the outside looking in by 3/100ths of a second currently with 3 minutes to go. As far as our top contenders in the points standings, let's take a look and see where Terry Walker is, not only on the racetrack, but also... Wait a minute. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. I didn't max that. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it. All right. Redo on that one. There's Terry. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if it was going to happen, it happened on a Friday. Let's just say that was a warm-up session for those 14 drivers that were on the track. And the rest of them were a little bit late to the party, but they've all woken up, and now we're officially going to get this underway. Now we're really going to see who's going to get into the top 12 for the final round of qualifying. This is for real right here. We obviously saw Emily Anderson in the background. She was the first one to make her way out onto the racetrack. Officially, mind you. Emily Anderson again, as I mentioned, she's looking for her 3rd win on the Pepsi Cup Series calendar. Gonna officially kick off the first round of qualifying with a 22.864 to start things off. There's Campbell Marsh in the number 38 machine, making his way out on the racetrack. And how about this to kick things off? Emily Anderson and Terry Walker were tied. And I say were because obviously Anderson bettered her time by a 1/10, 22.457. And here's Terry Walker in this number 48 machine, currently the points leader. Now the good news is, again, he still has the points lead. The bad news is Terry Walker, or Russell Blaze, is just 1 point closer and is still within arm's reach. So tonight's race definitely for sure is going to be a must watch because we have no idea if Terry Walker is going to have the points lead after tonight or if Russell Blaze is going to leave with the points lead here after tonight. There's a lot of unknowns that are coming in that have yet to be unveiled after tonight. So that's going to be something. So this is going to be a fun one to watch, and you're not going to want to miss this one here tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time over on Twitch. And Wayne Lopez, as of right now, currently holding on to the top of the charts with a 22.048. Zachary Taylor now with a .074. And how about this? CG Halt with a 22.011 for the Black Veil Brides machine. Now, CG's another driver that really wants to end off this season strong because he started off the season right, but just like Wyatt Walker, we touched on it a little bit ago, he just started dropping further and further down in points, and that kind of left CG in a little bit of a pickle, as he's at the very bottom of the points. But obviously for CG Hull, he's definitely looking to try to get his second career win, first on the season. It's come close several times so far this year, but could very well get it here tonight. Martin Nixon second on the board with a 22.10, 1/1000th quicker than CG Halt. And our first driver to break the 21-second bracket, that would be Joshua Cornish in the 89 with a 21.993. And look at this, NS Racing teammates of Nathan Stapleton and Zachary Fitzwater. Right now, 3 wide through this quad oval, heading into turn 1. That's going to be a fun thing to see. It looks like that middle groove is going to be the preferred way to go as far as really great corner entry speed and corner exit speed as well. But looks like the bottom might give the middle lane a little run for its money, as Stapleton got a great drive off the corner coming off of turn 4. So it looks like you want to run the middle through 1 and 2 and the bottom through turns 3 and 4. And look at Stapleton almost drift up in front of the nose of Kyle Craven. And right now, Nathan Stapleton, where is the big staple? Currently 24th right now. I'm a little surprised by that, because you would think that I don't even know what I was saying, but you would think that Stapleton, especially with the run that he's currently putting together, you would think he'd be a little bit further up in the running order, but that's just not the case right now. It seems rather criminal that Stapleton is not up there inside of the top 12. But Skylar Taylor right now holding on to the top of the charts with a 21.956. And driver outside looking in, well, that'd be Jerry Rose in the 00 with a 22.982 or 992 or 092. Now with a 088, that would be Val Moscow currently on the outside looking in. With just now 3 minutes to go in this session coming up. There's Zachary Taylor in the 85. Right now with a .074 to his name. Now he's on the outside looking in, as Bruno Diacomo is 11th right now. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think Zachary Fitzwater might have broken into the top 10 with a 22.049. That currently is going to put him in the running to make it to the final rounds. That way he can go for the pole. So now Zachary Taylor on the outside looking in. Now it's Bruno Diacomo, as I believe Alexander Rowe has just broken into the top 12. A 22.057 for him. Wait a minute, actually, hold the phone. It's Braden Perez with a 22.033 to his name. Where in the world is Braden Perez? Where did he go? I can't even find him anywhere. Probably he's on pit road somewhere. Probably he's taking a little snack break, if you will. But focusing back in. Right now, your top 12 that would be going for the pole here in this final round coming up. That would be Skylar Taylor, Eric Monaco, Ryan Little, Joshua Cornish, CG Holt, along with the two of Martin Nixon, Valkyrie Atikian, Braden Perez, Wayne Lopez, Zachary Fitzwater, Alexander Rowe, and Bruno Diacomo. All 12 of those drivers would be fighting for the pole position as we're closing in on 1 minute remaining here in this session. Man, it really does feel like true sabotage, if you will, because now we see both Wyatt and Terry Walker 32nd and 33rd here in this session, which is honestly rather unfortunate. But that was a huge error on my end because I obviously did not make sure that all 42 cars were on the track and said it was 14. And I knew something was a little off because I was like, wait, there aren't as many cars on the track as there normally would be. So that's kind of unusual. There's Russell Blaze. Also not faring too well in qualifying either. A 22.260 that currently puts him in the 40th starting position. And with 20 seconds remaining, he's not going to have enough time to put down one more good lap. So that is where he will be starting for tonight's race here in Minnesota. So a tough night when it comes to qualifying for our front runners in the points. But as far as your top 12, the times are now final. Going for the pole will be Skylar Taylor, Eric Monaco, Ryan Little, Joshua Cornish, CG Holt, Martin Nixon, Valkyrie Atikian, Chase McClure coming out of the woodworks, Braden Perez, Wayne Lopez, Claire Phillips, another driver that came out of nowhere, and Zachary Fitzwater holding on by 8/1000ths of a second to get into round number 2. And as for 13th on down, that is where they will be starting for tonight's M&M's 400. And you see Campbell Marsh and Alex Bonsignor make up the caboose. There's Russell Blaze, number 69. We mentioned him. Okay. Do apologize for the little technical issues. All I did was move the chair and it just messed with the mic. Anyways, but Blaze starting 40th for this event. He didn't fare too well in qualifying, but neither did Terry Walker, who's our points leader. He's starting 33rd for this event. You also have Wyatt Walker starting 34th. Nia Steidel 36th. Man, this is going to be pretty interesting to see these drivers, especially Terry Walker and Russell Blaze, battle from the back of the field all the way to the front. It's going to be fun to watch. But coming up will be round number 2 of Pepsi Cup Series qualifying from here in Minnesota. This is For the Pole. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in a hour or minute, please. Just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is it right here. This is for the poll here for WRLA Pepsi Cup Series qualifying. The final round to set the rest of the starting lineup here for tonight's M&M's 400 here at the Minnesota Raceway Park. 10 minutes, of course, on the board. We're going to see just exactly, obviously, who's going to start on pole. Wayne Lopez was the first driver to hit the racetrack, ironically enough, in car number 1. First one to go on out. Ooh, Valkyria Tikian, who's also making her way out on the racetrack, almost got clobbered by the one of Wayne Lopez. I believe he was trying to get himself a pretty good draft off of the 23, and right now to kick things off, so far it's actually worked pretty well for him. A 23.388 for him. Right now running in that second, well, obviously second in line. Now coming around to complete her lap to kick off her session. This time by, it is going to be a 23.325 as Wayne Lopez lays down a 23.090. So these qualifying runs are a little bit slower than what we saw during round number 1. So probably must be not as much cloud. There's probably, obviously, I wouldn't say a lot of cloud cover left over, but speeds are, I mean, obviously speeds are a little, just slightly down by a full second, if anything. Lopez with a 22.971 to his name, and Cornish coming around to complete his lap. And that puts him 5th with a 265. CG hold up to 4th, now back to 5th as Braden Perez puts down a 23.099, almost a 23.1 exact lap. Cornish now up to 4th with a 23.023. Ryan Little 3rd. Lots of shuffling inside of the top 10 here. A lot of shuffling. Braden Perez up to 3rd with a 22.983. Man, oh man, things are getting a little bit dicey here inside of the top 12 as we are just coming up on halfway of this final round of qualifying in the next minute 45. Chase McClure up to second with a 22.802. Slight bit of drafting help from the 41 of Skylar Taylor. There's Zachary Fitzwater in the 98. Currently, as of right now, 11th quickest with a 22, but now 12th with a 23.057. Actually, that a great lap there. 22.951 moves him up to 6th. McClure right now is 2/100ths of a second slower than Wayne Lopez, and 52 just pulled off the racetrack and is coming to pit road. So you just saw that towards the back part of your screen. And how about this? For Wayne Lopez, the first driver to hit the racetrack and have the fastest time. That's rarely happened in all these qualifying sessions, because usually the first car to hit the track is not the fastest car either. They usually put down a good lap time to kick off the session, and then they slowly start fading lower and lower and lower further down the running order. But Wayne Lopez has been pretty consistently up here, and Cornish just dethroned him. 22.715, just did it by 3/100ths of a second. Little bit of a draft from the one of Wayne Lopez, but again, I go back to that point. Lopez is still up here. He can still start on the front row. If possible, if possible, he can still hold on to start on the front row. I mean, if anything, he could definitely do what Joshua Cornish did to him a little bit ago. Get a good draft and use that to your advantage to try to put down a fast enough time to get the pullback. 4.5 minutes to go. Lopez, not a quick enough time there to better his 7:42. Cornish, just a few laps ago, ran a 7:06, a little bit better than what, well, I mean, a little bit better than when we first called, because he ran 9/1000ths of a second faster. Take a little bit further back in the running order. There's Skylar Taylor in the 41 and Zachary Fitzwater in the 98. Both drivers sitting in the pits. Just letting everything just kind of evaluating everything before they head on back out to finish out the session. How about Ryan Little with a 22.715? A lot of those fast times are coming from this little group right here. So Lopez has been dethroned from the front row. Ryan Little trying to get his first WRLA Pepsi Cup Series win. Not just for himself, but for Vision Motorsports as well. Little has had himself a pretty solid season, if I may say. Been very, very consistent, but also has been pretty quiet at the same time. So Ryan Little could very well get his first Pepsi Cup Series win here tonight. Very possible. 3 minutes, less than that now. Here in this qualifying session. Martin Nixon, Chase McClure, both tied right now both tied actually, obviously, but Nixon with a 22.760 probably is a few millionths or billionths of a second faster than Chase McClure is, so he gets the nod for the 4th position, and McClure gets kicked back to 5th. Eric Monaco 6th, then Skylar Taylor 7th, Braden Perez 8th, then also 9th would be Valkyrie Atikian and Zachary Fitzwater. Your top 10 for starting positions. There's CG Halt and Claire Phillips, both 11th and 12th. Not doing the greatest in this round, but you got to give props to them for making it to the final round. And regardless whether or not if they do well in this round, they still get some pretty good starting spots nonetheless. A 22.943 here for CG Halt and a 22.980 for Claire Phillips. Phillips ended up starting off the season as the points leader for a little while, and then unfortunately the season is kind of just went south for her. But she's had some pretty good performances nonetheless, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Claire Phillips turn her season around starting here tonight here in Minnesota if she's able to get the job done. 1 minute remaining here in this qualifying session. It looks like Wayne Lopez might have just bettered his time, because now he is at a 22.725, but not enough to take Ryan Little off of the front row. And it's like a little race that's just going on between these three drivers in particular right here, because they've been side by side for a little while now. Excuse me. 15 seconds to go. Little trying to get to the inside of Cornish. They come off of turn number 2. An additional 22 seconds has been added, so one last opportunity to put down a great lap. At least a good enough lap to get you the best possible starting position. And I don't see any changes taking place. So your front row for the M&M's 400, we'll see Joshua Cornish starting on the pole and Ryan Little lining up alongside. Wayne Lopez, Martin Nixon will make up the second row. Then it's Chase McClure, Eric Monaco, row 3. Then row 4 is Skylar Taylor and Braden Perez, and car 88 starting in position number 8. Valkyrie Atikian and CG Halt sneaking into the top 10 to complete row 5, and Zachary Fitzwater and Claire Phillips will make up the 6th row. But that is officially going to set your starting lineup for tonight's M&M's 400 here at the Minnesota Motorsports Park. And that's going to do it here for qualifying. We want to thank you guys a lot for watching qualifying from here at the Minnesota Motorsports Park. And again, I can't preface this enough. You do not want to miss this inaugural race for the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series here at the Minnesota Motorsports Park. 200 laps of battle. We're going to see some great racing, great passes. It's just going to be an all-out wild night. This one you do not want to miss. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time over on Twitch. Can't wait to see you there. But if you liked this qualifying session, be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't considered subscribing yet, recommend you do so in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. And that pretty much is going to do it for us. Have a great rest of your Friday. We'll see you tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, over on Twitch for race 16 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series.